Let's get Grayson's grades here and his thought on this. Scott Grayson, by the way, nice haircut you got there, pal.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Same to you, buddy. I didn't even see it when I left, but I'm sure it looks good.
I walked in to get my haircut the other day. Who's sitting in the chair? Scott Grayson. It's not every day you see a celebrity getting his haircut like Scott Grayson from Fox 29. You got to get that thing shaped up for the television there. It's funny, though, because you can't tell. The guy's got a mask on getting his haircut, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, like, waiting my turn. And I'm like, that guy over there looks like Scott Grayson. But he's got a mask on, so I had to wait until he actually was done getting the haircut before I figured it out that it was him. And then, the same girl cut my hair afterwards, and so she got a double dose of us. I said, hey, I work with that guy. She was laughing.
You're probably like, wow, these two are nuts.
It was easier to figure you out because you had the West Virginia pullover on.
That's right, exactly. So I had that on. So he's like, hey, there's a guy wearing West Virginia. Has to be Mike. All right. So what do you think will happen Sunday? Will Doug Peterson start Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz?
You know what's interesting, Mike, and I enjoyed listening to you two talk about it before you brought me on here. I think I'm leaning – here's my answer is basically what we're going to find out is who actually is making the decision. Doug found it very hard to give Jalen Hurts very much credit at all last night after the game and then again today. His biggest source of credit that he gave Jalen Hurts was he provided a spark. But that's about where it ended. So I didn't see this resounding, yeah, that's my guy, I want that to be my guy kind of show of support from Doug Peterson, which tells me he wants Carson to continue to play. So I agree with you, Mike. I think that if Doug gets his way, Carson starts on Sunday. However, I think he will have a quicker hook. Like if you get through the first quarter, and this is as bad as it's been the last few weeks, I don't think Carson makes it to the second quarter. I think it'll be a quicker hook, and we see more of Jalen. But I think if the higher-ups are making the call, I think you'll see Jalen Hurts start on Sunday, and therefore I think the answer to who's making the decision is going to be given to us by who starts on Sunday. Like I said, if it's Jalen, I think it's Laurie or Howie or Laurie and Howie. And if it's Wentz, I think it's Doug's decision entirely. So we'll see.
All right, so let's get to the grade then. On Jalen Hurts, he did not give him a whole heck of a lot of credit, but how about you?
Yeah, overall for a rookie, coming in here cold off the bench, not getting all the first team reps, like a starter would, I was impressed. I thought he came in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Now, granted, there is no pressure. There is no pressure on him when he comes in. He could have sucked it up and nobody would have said anything worse. Well, so did Wentz, But he came in and I thought he extended some plays. The 4th and 18 throw to Greg Ward was perfect. It was well done. Certainly were there some bad things. Yeah, he was very quick to leave the pocket, but if you think back to all the rookies you've seen over the time you've watched this game at the NFL level, they all tend to kind of bring their eyes down and they don't want to get smacked and they start leaving the pocket. And he's got the legs, he's got the ability to run, and he did get some running plays out there. What I'd rather see him eventually get to is extend the play like a Russell Wilson does. Start getting up near the line of scrimmage but don't cross it, and then find the open guy. Now that's an advanced play, and clearly Hurts isn't there yet. But I liked what I saw. He did provide a spark. You can't argue that. And it felt like what you watched. Your eyes were telling you the team responded to the change. So it's hard to not start him next week when you see the team respond like that. But overall, I gave Hurts a B because I think, 5 of 12 for 109 yards. The interception, I know his arm got hit as he threw, but, I thought it was a B effort. And for a rookie, that's not bad at all.
How about Doug Peterson when it comes to this game plan? The one thing that really does irk me, and I'm not trying to be an old school football guy, but you have Miles Sanders, and the fact that he got 5 carries in that first series, and then he had 5 total after that for a total of 10. You're honestly, after a 6-carry performance the last week, you're essentially not even using one of your best skill players.
It baffles me, Hunter. It really does. I put this in the grades. I say this every week. To me, Miles Sanders needs to get 20 touches per game at a minimum. I don't understand why he's not. He is one of your playmakers. He was highly drafted. So that also goes into where you say, hey, let's see this guy perform. That's what we drafted him to do. And then what boggles me even, first of all, then you see they're moving the ball early in the game on the ground, Miles. And then they go away from the run to the pass. Stop me if you've heard this before. And then they don't come back to it again until it's way too late. what really got me confused was when they started to drive. I believe it was in the second quarter, and it might have been early in the second half. I'm missing this up a little bit, but it was Jordan Howard who got the first down carry and the second down carry, I believe, and then it was Boston Scott who came in. Miles Sanders wasn't even in on that possession. To me, Miles Sanders is your one, is he not? And if he's your one, shouldn't he be in there more often than the other guys? And then Jordan Howard and Boston Scott would be your change of pace, a different kind of backs you bring into the game, I would think. But I don't understand what Doug's doing with the running game. I don't understand what Doug's doing with Miles Sanders. I don't understand why Deuce Staley isn't jumping up and down on the sideline saying, why is Miles not in the game more? There's a lot of stuff with that. And again, the same old argument. There's little creativity with this offense. There's no rhythm to the play calling. I liked the end around to Jalen Reagor. We never saw a variation off of that. You could throw deep off of that if you fake it. They didn't even try that. Now, that being said, the offensive line didn't give Carson or Jalen a lot of time to try to make a deep throw. But still, there's just no creativity or rhythm to the play calling. And I just keep waiting for, all right, fine, you benched your quarterback. When are you going to bench your play caller?
Well, they haven't they benched the play caller, or have they kind of benched the play caller? That's a whole nother scenario, because I guess we're blaming the play caller, but we don't even know who that is now.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the sound, like it, Doug says that he's given up some of it, but you heard Carson. There was one comment Carson made last night. And here's a guy who was just, headache put on his face because he was benched, and he came out and talked to the media. There was one comment he made. It was about, he kind of shied away from answering it, but I read between the lines as him saying that Doug was still calling the plays. And it wouldn't surprise me in the least. I think Doug will find it very hard to stop calling the plays. He can say that he's not, or he can say that he's listening to other suggestions. But, ultimately, that game yesterday, does anybody think that was not a Doug Peterson called game? Because it looked just like all the other ones to me.
I think one of the areas, and you graded him out to be a D, the offensive line was obviously had a tough day at the office yesterday. But the defensive line, again, I mean, this is where they have most of their money invested in, on that defensive line there. And there were times where Rodgers is just standing back there. I mean, he could tie his shoes, file his nails. I mean, it was you wonder, where is the push from this defensive front?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers just to me looked like a guy who was out on the playground and just like, it's one of those times where it's like you can't blitz until you count to 7. I felt like Aaron Rodgers had one of those kind of games where he was standing back there and he knew he wasn't going to get hit, wasn't going to get touched, wasn't going to get rushed. And he just danced around in the pocket till somebody broke free and then ultimately just picked apart this Eagles secondary. I mean, quite frankly, it's kind of what I expected to see going into the game. I thought they'd get some better pressure on him, at least force him to move around, make some more Aaron Rodgers-like plays. He didn't need to. He was able just to kind of, like I said, dance around back there and throw the ball. Where was Brandon Graham? Fletcher Cox early in the game was stopping some run plays, which was nice, and doing that Army crawl. And I'm thinking, you guys are already behind 7-3. Like, what's anybody celebrating for? Like, I just don't understand. Javon Hargrave makes a sack, and you don't hear from him again. There's just a lot. Right, they tied a lot of money up into that defensive line, and there were much higher expectations from that group than what we've seen. Derek Barnett, I know, got hurt at one point in the game. They're just not performing to the level they need to. Brandon Graham had a really solid first half of the season. I think that teams are now keying on him and trying to make sure he doesn't affect plays back there as much. And the rest of the line has to pick it up. Certainly that defensive line yesterday, to me, forced the secondary to have to cover way too long and to make too many plays in the secondary they couldn't hang with or do. And I mean, how do you get the tight end that far wide open, Tunyon, on that one play that to me looked like it was Alex Singleton's blown coverage? But that being said, Aaron Rodgers had all day to throw that pass, and you do that to an NFL quarterback, and eventually somebody's going to break free.
Speaking of that secondary, Darius Slay with another tough performance. Now, he left the game with the injury, but I want to get your overall thoughts on his matchup against Davante Adams.
Yeah, you knew it was going to happen, and I said all week, too, I believe Davante Adams was licking his chops watching that film of DK Metcalf, saying, okay, if DK Metcalf can do that, I can do that, too. So let me get on Slay, and you saw that in that one on the 400th touchdown pass for Rodgers. That was really well-designed play to get Devontae Adams against Darius Slay. It was a one-on-one battle, and it was Adams saying, I will not be denied the end zone here. And, they did show that Slay did have his face tugged on, and probably that should have been called. But Adams won the play, won the touchdown, and didn't get the flag called, and so you got to give him credit for that. But look, he was out fighting defenders, Darius Slay most of the time, and I felt like you could see Slay wasn't 100% on the field, and yeah, that is an excuse. For the most part, I think Slay has had a really good season here and done what he was brought here to do, which was to, try to shut down one side of the field. The last 2 weeks it hasn't happened, so he's got to rebound from this. Now, I know he was, said to be day-to-day going into next week, so we will see if he even plays this week. But, I think Slay's been great for the most part. The last 2 weeks, like I said, not as good. The injury playing a role. Avonte Maddox on the other side has just been blatantly exposed, and in my opinion, is not an outside corner in this league.
No, I was going to get to him. You gave him an F. He had a tough day this week. He had a tough day the last couple of weeks. Teams seemingly are picking on him. It's just another problem that this team has. And, of course, you can get all the grades from Scott Grayson. Grayson's grades are posted after every Eagles game at 97.3ESPN.com. And, of course, they will be posted after the Eagles take on the Saints, which could be another ugly one. It's a 10-2 Saints team looking to get that number one seed in the NFC. That game right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Scott, appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Scott Grayson, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. His grades, of course, each week here on 97.3 ESPN are brought to you by Cross County Connection. They are the region's Transportation Management Association. They're dedicated to improving the quality of life in South Jersey through transportation solutions. Learn more about Cross County Connection online at driveless.com.